Welcome to our YouTube channel, where we explore the recent 25-year strategic partnership between China and Iran, signed on March 27, 2021. This agreement, valued at $400 billion, is significant due to its timing, provisions, and potential ramifications on the global stage. We'll delve into the motives behind this collaboration, its economic and security aspects, and its impact on China, Iran, the United States, and the Middle East. Join us for concise analyses and discussions on this impactful geopolitical development. China signed a landmark partnership agreement with Tehran on March 27, 2021. The importance of this agreement lies in its timing, the nature of its provisions, its longevity, the amount of investment, and its potential ramifications on the regional and international scenes, especially in light of China's desire to expand its political and economic influence in the Middle East while permitting Iran to join its strategic Belt and Road Initiative to reach out to European markets. According to the strategic partnership, China will provide investments as well as economic and security services worth $400 billion over 25 years in return for a steady supply of oil from Iran to the Chinese economy. The agreement is nothing new, but its timing is important as it indicates signals and motives. The agreement was first floated in 2016 during the visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping to Iran, but it did not take off at that time. It came in the aftermath of Iran's signing of the nuclear deal, which resulted in an openness towards Western investments. But it gained significance last year after the grave economic consequences caused by the U.S. withdrawal from the nuclear deal. The agreement has faced extensive criticism in Iran. This position paper aims to analyze the motives behind the timing of the agreement, its major economic, security, and military provisions, and its potential ramifications for China, Iran, the United States, and the Middle East, as well as the challenges facing the implementation of this agreement and ultimately the agreement's prospects. The motives behind signing the China-Iran Strategic Partnership. Though the agreement was floated 5 years ago, it was announced by Iran only in the summer of 2020. At that time, it stirred up massive controversy among Iran's political currents and opposition at home and overseas. They utilized the agreement to attack the government and political system because they believed it did not take into consideration Iran's sovereignty and interests and contradicted the foundations of the Islamic Republic and its foreign policy principles that Khomeini established. There must be signals and motives behind the recent visit of the Chinese foreign minister to Tehran and the signing of the agreement with China, with Iran's foreign minister describing Beijing as a friend for hard times. The signals and motives are likely to be related to the current developments and interactions in the region. For its part, China is waiting on Biden's policies and is acting cautiously. The new U.S. administration plans to redirect its resources and capabilities to Southeast Asia to contain China, a rival superpower seeking to lead the global order, according to Chinese interpretations of remarks made by Biden on March 26, 2021. Biden's vision seeks to continue the policy of former U.S. President Barack Obama, which he could not accomplish due to timing and developments in the Middle East. When Donald Trump took office in 2017, he reversed Obama's foreign policy. Since Biden took office, the United States has focused on strengthening its position as leader of the world order. The new U.S. administration has forged international and regional alliances to curb Beijing's growing political and economic clout. The U.S. Secretary of State met with European leaders in Brussels on March 24, 2021, and unified their views regarding addressing China as a rival posing a threat to the current world order. Biden also held a virtual meeting on March 12, 2021, with the prime ministers of Japan, Australia, and India to ally to curb China's clout. Furthermore, the United States plans a military and security redeployment to emphasize its domination and clout, in addition to bolstering its military growth to maintain the power gap with its closest rival China, which prompted the latter to act out of necessity. As for Iran, despite the domestic controversy surrounding the agreement, it seems that a directive from the supreme leader led to the signing of the agreement. Perhaps this can be attributed to his and the government's feeling that the domestic crisis-riddled economic situation is extremely dangerous. The move is also in line with the Supreme Leader's directive for Iran to turn to the East, turning away from Europe, or because the massive wave of expectations that followed Biden's election has vanished to a great extent. This agreement was signed against the backdrop of the Biden administration attempting to set conditions for Iran to return to the nuclear deal, and it is clear that Biden wants to take advantage of a host of factors to ensure that Iran is in a weak negotiating position. This includes taking advantage of Trump's maximum pressure campaign, exploiting Iran's deteriorating internal situation, reaching a cross-Atlantic consensus to impose more pressure on Iran to amend the existing nuclear deal, opening up discussions about the outstanding issues, particularly regarding Iran's ballistic missile program and its regional behavior. Biden's moves are likely to have played a role at this time in pushing China and Iran to sign the Strategic Partnership Agreement. China seeks to counter U.S. pressure and is attempting by signing the agreement with Iran to contain its clout and curb its political and economic hegemony. Iran is a credible partner for China and a hostile regional rival to the United States. China's relationship with Iran could be used to concentrate its conflict with the United States in the Middle East instead of moving it to Southeast Asia, as was the case during the term of Obama. All in all, China has sent a message that it will not stand by idle in the midst of the challenges that the United States is attempting to impose on it. For its part, Iran needs a strong ally like China to counter U.S. pressure, especially regarding the revival of the nuclear deal. It also needs more economic openness with China, which is its most important trade partner, to withstand U.S. sanctions and help it to alleviate its deepening economic crisis. The most important provisions of the agreement and its general features. Iran did not announce the details of the agreement neither before nor after signing it, nor did the Chinese government for its part provide details. Tasnim news agency, aligned with the IRGC and the clerical political system, explained this by arguing that it is not necessary to publish the details of the non-binding agreements, and due to the U.S. sanctions, not publishing it was better. The agency added, "The Parliament won't need to approve the agreement as it's a framework roadmap, not a binding agreement." Even the agreement's $400 billion investment was not mentioned by either of the two countries' officials. However, an 18-page draft containing the agreement's provisions was leaked to Iranian and U.S. newspapers that confirmed this large investment sum. Even when pressure was imposed on the spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry Zhao Lijian regarding the total sum of Chinese investments, he declined to answer, according to his remarks published in The Diplomat. He said, "The plan focuses on tapping the potentials in economic and cultural cooperation and charting course for long-term cooperation. It neither includes any quantitative specific contracts and goals nor targets any third party and will provide a general framework for China-Iran cooperation going forward." The International Institute for Iranian Studies, Rasana, has previously addressed the details of the agreement in its 2020 annual strategic report. Here, we briefly shed light on the most important details of the leaked agreement. The threes. The agreement's outcomes and ramifications. There is no doubt that there are several potential ramifications of this agreement for China, Iran, the United States, and the entire region, whether in the short or longer term in case China proves serious about implementing and abiding by the provisions of the agreement. Some of these outcomes are as follows. 1. China's gains. The agreement undoubtedly enables China to make several gains in case it is implemented, mainly gaining more geopolitical clout in West and Central Asia, playing a bigger political role in the Middle East, countering U.S. policies intending to contain it and curb its growing global role in the longer term. Some liken the recent Chinese moves to a Cold War. This is in addition to making new important economic gains within the framework of its peaceful rise policy and the influence it has gained from investing in economic projects. On the other side, the agreement opens new markets for Beijing and Iran and its neighboring countries and gives it an impetus to carry out joint ventures. Its products will reach Central Asian markets and get quicker access to Europe. The agreement will also help China to mitigate the geopolitical risks on its economy by allowing it to diversify the source of its oil in the Middle East, which meets about 60% of its oil needs. This is in addition to ensuring a steady supply of oil and petrochemicals at lowered prices and even a reduction in China's shipping costs if Iran builds oil depots on Chinese soil. 2. Iran's gains. Perhaps the most important gain for Iran from the agreement in the short run is having an influential ally in the international arena that will allow it to achieve a degree of equilibrium amid U.S. efforts to isolate it. This is in addition to gaining China's support as one of the parties to the nuclear deal and prompting the United States to accelerate the pace of negotiations related to the nuclear deal, leading to the removal of sanctions which are crippling the country's economy. Regarding the economic aspects, Iran critically needs Chinese support, with Beijing over the past 10 years being Tehran's #1 trade partner. This partnership has deepened when international sanctions are imposed on Iran. Hence, Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif described China as a friend for hard times as mentioned earlier. China alone in 2020 imported a quarter of total Iranian exports. In the event of establishing special mechanisms to aid financial exchange, Iran's dependence on China will increase further. If China is serious about its commitments with Iran, Iran will reap important economic, political, and military benefits in the short and long term. Thank you. A. Bilateral trade. Increasing between the two countries, which went down from $52 billion in 2014 to about $20 billion during the Iranian fiscal year, 2020-2021. Amid this decline, mainly due to sanctions and a drop in oil prices, China remains the most important and largest partner of Iran. It imported 26% of Iran's total exports to the world during the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Oil and petrochemicals top the list of Iranian exports to China, with the latter being a sustainable market for selling these products. B. A long-term development of Iran's infrastructure will ensure that it plays a significant role in regional trade for a long time. Iran developing Chabahar port and constructing railroads will allow it to reach out to neighboring countries such as Afghanistan and other Central Asian countries. In addition, because of investment in infrastructure, international investments will flow into the country once U.S. sanctions are lifted. C. Expanding Iran's role in international transit trade after joining the Silk Road project and implementing plans to establish international corridors for the passage of goods from India, China, and Asian countries to Europe through its ports on the Arabian Gulf, passing via Iran, Azerbaijan, and Russia, and ending in Eastern Europe via high-speed trains. Therefore, Iran's ambassador to Moscow quickly rushed to exploit the crisis of the stranded ship in the Suez Canal to promote investment in the so-called North-South corridor as a shorter and less expensive alternative. Nevertheless, the feasibility of this corridor has not yet been confirmed compared to Egypt's Suez Canal. D. Advancing Tehran's qualitative military capabilities through its security, intelligence, and defense cooperation with a major superpower like China, thus acquiring Chinese weapons that can be used to support its proxies in the region, whether in Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, or Iraq. This means boosting Iran's strength at the expense of the rest of the region's countries. Conclusion. It can be said that although it has reduced its presence in the region, the United States is still the most influential power, and it takes into account the moves of China and Iran. China's quiet steps to play greater political and economic roles in the Middle East and the world. Therefore, it is of great importance for Arab countries to take measures in advance against the economic, political, and security challenges that such a qualitative Chinese-Iranian rapprochement may pose due to the dangers of Iran's external ambitions, which are stated in the Iranian constitution. Thank you.